Hey guys, welcome back to Come Follow Me Art Journaling. My name is Jackie Johnson. We are on week 12. I can't believe we're already on week 12. It's crazy how fast the time has been going by. This week we're going over Jacob chapter 5 through 7, and chapter 5 is the allegory of the olive tree. We'll talk more about the scriptures here in a bit, but first I want to talk about what's going on here in the art journal. Also, I just want to add, if this is your first time here, this is where we combine our Come Follow Me study with art journaling. It's a fantastic way to come closer to Christ through creativity. If that sounds like something that you're interested in and you want to follow along, feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell. I post a new video every single Sunday. Because we spend such a significant amount of time studying the allegory of the olive tree in our study this week, I wanted to draw something related to that, so I decided to paint some olive tree branches. I felt like that was a good way to represent the entirety of the scriptures, but it was also a lot more simple than trying to draw, say, like an entire vineyard. To create this art journal page, I used a technique called negative painting. It's a fairly simple technique and it's not terribly difficult once you get the idea of it. And honestly, once you get into it, it's actually very relaxing to paint a picture like this. To start this painting, you're going to do a wash of color over the entire page. And on this page, I'm using watercolor, but you can use any medium that layers really well over the top of each other, like alcohol markers. But you also don't even have to create it the exact same way I do. You can do whatever you want, and you can use any medium that you want. You could even use crayons, and it could still turn out pretty awesome, which would actually be very interesting. Maybe I should use crayons one of these times. Comment down below and let me know if you want to see me create an art journal page with just crayons. Okay, so anyway, to do this painting, you're going to start off with a light wash. You're going to be covering the entire area with color. I made mine so that it was yellow in one corner and then down to a green, almost to a blue in the other corner. Then I took a pencil and I lightly drew in some branches and some leaves and some olives just to kind of get a general idea of where I wanted to put those. Mostly, I just needed to know what I'm not going to paint over on my first layer. With a negative painting, instead of painting the object itself, you're painting around the object. You're going to be doing several layers with this so that there's a lot of depth. The first layer that you do is going to be the top layer, and whatever is closest to you, it's going to have the lightest colors. And then with each layer after that, your objects are going to get darker and they're going to get further away. So with the first layer, you're just adding in a few leaves, a few branches, and a few olives. And then you're just filling in the entire space around those objects. With each layer, you're going to use darker and darker paint. And you get that by adding less water to your paint. I also mixed up different colors for different parts of the page. So the top right corner, I used a yellowy green. For the bottom left corner, I used a bluish green. And that way it just makes it look more interesting and gives it variation throughout the entire page. You're going to be doing the exact same thing with every layer, and with each additional layer, you're just going to be adding in a few more leaves and a few more branches and maybe some more olives if you want to. With this particular painting, I did one base layer and then I did 3 additional layers after that. But you can do as many layers as you want. If you use less layers, it'll be nice and light and simple. If you do more layers, it'll have more contrast and more depth. So just get creative, have fun, and don't be afraid to experiment. If you decide that you want to create this art journal page or use it as inspiration, or even any of the art journaling videos that I've done in the past, I've actually decided to open a Facebook group where people can come and join and share their art with everyone, share their thoughts on things, or even just see what everyone else has created. Even if you're just an observer, totally come and join the Facebook group as well. If you want to get started into art journaling but you're not exactly sure how, well, don't worry, there's not a lot of rules, and you don't have to be some brilliant artist to do this. Any beginner can do it. Just get yourself any kind of blank book to work in, Because I'm a mixed media artist, I love to use watercolor journals, but you don't have to use a watercolor journal. You could just get yourself a sketchbook or even a mixed media journal. You also don't have to get a ton of different mediums. You could just go with one thing that seems like really a lot of fun to you. I'll put links down below to the things that I use and some of my suggestions if you're just barely starting out or if you want some cheap supplies to start with. I'll also add a link to the Facebook group, so definitely come and join. It's going to be so much fun and I can't wait to see what everyone creates. It's going to be awesome. With everything that's kind of going on right now, this is a fantastic time to just enjoy some time creating and meditating on the things that we're learning through Come Follow Me. So this is a really, really good time to start something like this. Okay, so now to talk about the scriptures. So in Jacob chapter 5, we're talking about the allegory of the olive tree. And this is an intricate revelation that is a complete overview of the work of the Lord from the beginning of the world to the end of the world. Honestly, this is the first time that I've ever actually sat down and tried to really understand this chapter, and I really, really enjoyed it. I really focused most of my study on verses 50 through 76, since that's the part that talks about the last days and the gathering of scattered Israel, and it just felt like the most important thing for me to focus on right now. It's really interesting because we actually know a lot about what's going to happen in the last days. The scriptures have revelations about the last days laced throughout the entire books. We know that there's going to be a lot of difficult things happening, a lot of calamity. The scriptures tell us that there's going to be wars, rumors of wars, natural disasters, and disease, and all kinds of things that are going to be very destructive. And we learn from the scriptures that this is in order to cleanse the earth of the wickedness before the second coming of Jesus Christ. What I find interesting from this allegory is that everything isn't going to just happen really fast and all at once. It's going to be over a period of time. And it even tells us the reason why. Let me read it to you real quick. And remember as I read this that the branches represent different groups of people. And this is Jacob chapter 5 verses 65 and 66. It says, "And as they begin to grow, ye shall clear away the branches which bring forth bitter fruit, according to the strength of the good and the size thereof. And ye shall not clear away the bad thereof all at once, lest the roots thereof should be too strong for the graft, and the graft thereof shall perish, and I lose the trees of my vineyard. For it grieveth me that I should lose the trees of my vineyard. Wherefore ye shall clear away the bad according as the good shall grow, that the root and the top may be equal in strength until the good shall overcome the bad, and the bad be hewn down and cast into the fire, that they cumber not the ground of my vineyard. And thus will I sweep away the bad out of my vineyard." So why doesn't God just do this quickly? I think that part of the reason why is because as those who are seeking light and truth go through the difficult things that we're going to face, we're going to grow stronger in our faith and our commitment. I mean, I see that happening right now. For example, with President Nelson inviting the women of the church to learn about the priesthood, I see so many women around me who have taken on that challenge, and because of that are growing stronger in their faith, in their commitment, and their understanding, including myself. And I feel like it's been really awesome to see. Or even consider like the coronavirus that's going on right now. We already know that disease is going to be part of what we're going to experience in the last days. And the thing is that the saints are not exempt from what is going to be happening in these runner-up activities of the second coming. We're going to experience a lot of different things, and through that process, some of us are going to be called home. And some of the trials that we go through are going to be really, really hard. But you guys, we do not have to be afraid. We can rest assured that everything is in God's hands. Difficulties can refine us and bring us closer to Christ if we let them. If we ask what we can learn from what we're experiencing, if we lay our burdens at the feet of Christ, I believe every single person will go through exactly what they need in order to grow in the ways they personally need to. And I also believe that every single person has and will have every chance that they need to accept and follow after Christ. The Lord will guide us, and we can be a part of this important work if we choose to be. And let's think about the opportunities that we have because of the coronavirus right now. I mean, it might be difficult because we're going to not be able to see each other as much. We're a little bit isolated, and those who are prone to anxiety and depression might have a little bit of a harder time. And I understand that. I'm right there too. But because of what's going on right now, we have the opportunity to grow stronger in our home study. We have the ability to see the holes in our personal emergency preparedness. And how we all know that we should add toilet paper and hand sanitizer to our 2 years of storage supplies. And I actually feel like this is a really good time to come closer together by ministering individually to our brothers and sisters. And just like it talks about in Jacob chapter 5, the Lord is slowly preparing us, and as we become stronger, the darkness is going to be taken away. And all of the things that are happening and all of the things that are going to happen are going to make us stronger and make us more prepared for the second coming of Jesus Christ. For example, after the coronavirus has died down, how much more are we going to appreciate our ability to meet together in our meeting houses every single week and take the sacrament and go to the temple and receive those ordinances through the priesthood? And how much more are we going to appreciate the counsel from our prophets, such as preparing with our food storage and other supplies? And how much do we already appreciate the Come Follow Me curriculum that was inspired to be created, especially because now we can't meet together at church, but we can still move on with our study and our learning and our growth, and we don't have to lean on our church classes or anyone else to do that for us. And it's amazing because as a whole, we are still united as a church through our study and through our ability to reach out with technology and connect over the things that we're studying. And that's really, really awesome. This whole thing can make us so much stronger if we see it as an opportunity to step up in our faith and our commitment. And I think it's totally normal to feel some anxiety over this and some worry. And if we're personally affected by this, or if we know anyone who's been affected by it, it is totally okay to feel sad or sorrowful. I mean, even in the allegory of the olive tree, it talks about how the Lord wept, and it talks a lot about the grief that he feels, which I think says a lot about the character of God. And actually, Jeffery R. Holland gave a really, really good talk about this. I'm going to put a link to it in the description box below. It was really, really good. And if you want to learn more about the character of God, especially in regards to the allegory of the olive tree, that is a really good talk to go and listen to. I really believe, though, that in times of great distress, it's really important for us to turn to the Lord. Some of the most important things we can possibly be doing is those things that help us to have more faith in Jesus Christ and to help us gain a greater eternal perspective. I think that some of the things that will help us come closer to Christ and have greater faith is by praying for more faith, by acting in more faith. We can learn our personal roles and duties in our families, our wards and communities, and what our roles are going to be in building up the kingdom of God. Right now, I think it's really important for us to learn how to share our testimony in natural and normal ways with our friends and our family. And I really feel like it's important to learn about the second coming, to study the scriptures and go to the temple when we can, and to learn about the temple covenants and just learn as much as we possibly can about the power of God and what we can do so that we can be ready when Jesus Christ comes again. I feel very deeply that each one of us is here for a reason. We each have a very important purpose to be here on this earth at this time. I just feel like it's so important for us to come closer to Christ and find out what our purpose is. And by doing so, we will be empowered and we will feel the peace that comes through Jesus Christ and knowing who we are and whose we are. And that's where I'm going to leave off today. What did you guys get out of your study? Let me know in the comments below if you want to share. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching today. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. And don't forget to hit that link in the description box below and join me on my Facebook group. Thank you again, and I'll see you next Sunday.